I sold 520 cubes while running the marathon. The previous record was 420, and yeah, the logistics of this was an absolute nightmare, like more than any other attempt I could ever possibly done. I'm actually a strong believer in taught talent rather than sort of like natural pre-existing talent. The only thing that's doing the thing is to do the thing.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That was class. You're a legend, mate.
So my name is George Scholey, and I guess my role is I'm a professional Rubik's Cube speed solver. So I'm like an ambassador for the Rubik's brand. So that role revolves around kind of like doing media appearances, but also doing maybe some niche world records, going to competitions, wearing Rubik's stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much my job. It's a pretty dreamy job, to be honest. I mean, I've been doing this Rubik's Cube solving thing for almost 9 years. And yeah, it's just, I love it. You know, it's great.
It's a long journey from picking up your first Rubik's Cube to now
absolutely.
Essentially being an ambassador for Rubik's and going around being kind of a bit of a face of the brand. So how did that all happen? Talk me through that story.
Yeah. So you're right. It is a long story. So I'll try to make it a bit shorter. But yeah, I'd started solving cubes. About 9 years ago, as I said, and it was actually initiated by my interest in close-up magic. I used to be really into like magic tricks. I did parties and gatherings and stuff. Like, I actually really enjoyed it. I was quite into it, and I was like 13 at the time. But then I noticed that Rubik's Cube magic was becoming a bit of a trend within like the sort of magic community. So I decided to pick up a Rubik's Cube and try and integrate that into my magic routines. But I'm quite obsessive. So what I did, I just kind of was very intrigued by this cube, and I just decided to pursue this a bit further. So from the very get-go, I wanted to be fast. So I kind of like assigned myself to like learn a step each day. So by the end of the 4 days, I could do each step well and could already do it at a decent speed, like not fast, like not that fast in comparison to now, but like sort of, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then after about a year and a half, just pure practicing, I managed to get my first national records, UK champion title and stuff. And then, a couple of years ago, I got my first world records, which has been really exciting, and I got a world record recently as well. But then, like my kind of role as an ambassador, that was brought about by, in like 2018, I was at the UK Championships, and they saw that I was, doing okay, I guess. The BBC team, they saw that I was doing all right, so they decided to see if I wanted to go on BBC Breakfast the next day. It was very spontaneous, very fortuitous, really. And then we drove up to Manchester, and I went on, and I had never been on live TV before or ever done anything like that. But I guess thankfully I was a bit blessed, and I happened to come across fairly well. And then since then I've been approached by Rubik's and then been working with them subsequently. So yeah, it's been really good.
It's mesmerizing, mate. And I'm sure you get this all the time. Like, since I knew we were going to chat, like I've been watching so many videos of you. I've been watching like every time your story pops up, I'm mesmerized by it on Instagram. Like this morning, you did a 4.3, I think.
4.18.
You put on your Instagram. The speed of it is ungodly. Like
it's a lot of practice.
How do you even get around to getting to the point you're at? It must be some sort of natural talent as well, is there?
Yeah, so I'm actually a strong believer in taught talent rather than sort of like natural pre-existing talent. I think I like to think I'm a good advocate for that, but also because I did like an English degree, and I'm like not good at maths, and people always think the Rubik's Cube is very mathsy. You need to have a certain type of brain. That's not the case, and I think that anyone, if they're just passionate enough about something or just interested enough, intrigued enough, that they'll just put their work in, put the repetition in, and improve. But yeah, I mean, the way you get faster. So like when you first solve a cube, it'll probably take you 200 moves, 300 moves to solve, and you're using about 4 algorithms. And I know algorithms sound mathematical too, but it's just like a set of moves. So like imagine it as like, up, across, down, back, across. Like it's just a set of moves that you learn, and you kind of get it in your muscle memory. It's almost like a short 5-chord piano song or something like that. So you learn these algorithms, and you apply them, and you might have to repeat them a lot, and you're doing it kind of like just one piece at a time, piece by piece by piece. But then the faster you get, you'll want to learn more algorithms. So I know about 1,000 algorithms. So that's definitely how I've got faster. So these are like sort of 10 to 15 move algorithms that are solving multiple pieces at once. So I'm trying to skip steps. I'm trying to be more efficient, and I do it in around 60 moves. So and then obviously the next thing that comes in is turning speed. So I turn about 10 turns per second as well. So it's just kind of all of that coming together, and obviously solving and solving and solving, you get really good over time. But to a certain point, also you need to do a lot of dedicated practice. So practicing the inspection time. In competition, you have 15 seconds to look at the cube to plan out what you're going to do. So I really want to try and make use of that time. Plan out as much of the solve as you can in that time. Inspection practice, algorithm learning, algorithm drilling, all of this, and you'll eventually improve.
I love the idea of hard work beating talent, and that's kind of what you're saying there, isn't it? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Natural talent not being a thing, it's the fact that you work hard, you've learned these algorithms, and in essence, you've trained, right? That's what you've done. You've
exactly.
Studied,
Training,
you've trained, you've worked hard.
Yeah, I like to think so, and yeah, I believe anyone can get there. Yeah.
Maybe not anyone will get to your speed, mate, but anyone might be able to get to some speed. 3 world records. Talk me through each of them.
Yeah, so all these world records, I've been super lucky, to be honest, because I was actually reached out to by Guinness World Records. They were like, "Do you want to break some records with us?" And like, normally I think the process is quite daunting. There's a lot of application. You need to kind of try and get an adjudicator out there and stuff. So I think I was quite lucky from the start with these world records. But yeah, so they asked if I wanted to break some world records, and the answer was undoubtedly yes. I was like, let's work something out. Let's try and think of something I can do. Because my speed solving ability is I mean I've got national records and stuff, but world records are slightly harder. So there are so many competitors nowadays, like hundreds of thousands. So I knew I had to probably combine it with something else I could do. So the first one I did was most Rubik's Cube solved. This is very niche, probably the most niche one of all. Most Rubik's Cube solved while riding a skateboard. So
Okay.
I've been skateboarding for half my life. It's been like a big thing, always for me. And so yeah, like we made this record where so I had to kind of just the record. The time went on as long as I didn't like fall off the board or anything like that. So I could have done it as long as possible. And then I had people around the park, and they were like giving me scrambled cubes, and then I was giving them the solved cubes. So it was like a swap. So I was just going around in circles for hours. About an hour and a half, and so it was 500 cubes, and then I stopped there because 500 seemed like a round number. But that was really good, and it was like sort of hard in the sense that you had to ensure that you weren't, even if you like pushed on the board in a way that looked like you were leaning on your foot too much, that would obviously disqualify the attempt. So you needed to be really careful in that sense, and obviously like you need to be very comfortable on a skateboard. But yeah, there was that one, most Rubik's Cube solved on a skateboard. Then the next one was this one was probably my favorite one, most solved in 24 hours. Because this record hadn't been beaten for like 9 years, and people had tried to beat it before, but it was pretty hard. So yeah, I mean, obviously the hardest part, right, is like staying up, optimizing, your solving whilst you have like no sleep. So I took like 75 minutes of break throughout the entire attempt. And to be honest, the hardest part of that whole attempt was the logistics of having a constant feed of scrambled cubes. So it was amazing. I had like these friends that were scrambling them, following computer-generated scrambles, and then checking them, and then hiding them, then revealing them when I was ready to solve another cube. So it was an amazing, like logistical kind of situation there. But yeah, that was great. And then I solved 6,931 cubes in 24 hours.
Wow, man.
And the previous world record was 5,800. So I was happy to get it by a decent amount. I was hoping to like have beaten the record by 20 hours, which is what I did. And then I just thought, come on, let's keep going. Let's try and make it hard for others. So yeah, and yeah, that was really fun. And then the most recent one, and I think that's very likely the one that made this kind of opportunity come about, is I did the most Rubik's Cube solved while running a marathon. I did this at the London Marathon, so quite an eye-catching sort of event to do it at. And yeah, I solved 520 cubes while running the marathon. The previous record was 420. And yeah, the logistics of this was an absolute nightmare, like more than any other attempt I could ever possibly done. Like other people that, believe it or not, there were other people that had attempted this record before. They had like people running beside them, giving them scrambled cubes, taking solved cubes off them. So the runner, the person that was getting the record, they only had one cube on them at a time, which they were just always solving. But for this, I didn't have that luxury. I couldn't have anyone on the course running beside me, helping me with that, which makes sense. It's a massive event. I mean, it's a huge event, like 40, I think it was like 50,000
Yeah,
in the end.
insane.
Yeah. So yeah, what happened instead is I had Rubik's. Thankfully, as a Rubik's ambassador, they can do this kind of stuff. They sent me 600 Rubik's cubes. Then I had some cubers for computer generated scrambles and scramble all of those cubes. Then we distributed them into bags of 50, and then we distributed those bags every 2 miles along the race. So every 2 miles, I would pick up 50 scrambled cubes and give them the 50 solved cubes, which also meant throughout the whole race, I had 50 cubes on me, which is 10 kilos. So actually quite a weight. But yeah, and the record needed to be done in less than 5 hours, and I did it in 4:24. So yeah, I got it, and yeah, super happy about it.
Mate, there's so much I want to talk about with this record, but I guess first, to run a marathon in 4:20 anyway, without the added element of solving cubes.
Yeah, and obviously you want to run slower to solve more as well, which is weird. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's a big deal. So, where did running first come into your life? Have you always been an athletic person? Like, for this to even be talked about, there has to be some sort of running background. So, like, what happened?
It's actually a newfound obsession, and I would definitely call it an obsession. So I mentioned skateboarding earlier. That was my sport of choice for years. Well into like sort of 2021, 2022. And then I think I've had that sort of post-uni, sorry about the siren, didn't you hear that?
That's all right.
I had this sort of like post-university, like, hypochondria, and I was like, man, I had not been treating my body right sort of thing. And I was like, I really want to sort my life out a bit. Like, and running to me felt like the right thing. Like, I was very obsessed with longevity, not because I want to live forever, but just because I know that like is like the most highly correlated with health, and I wanted to kind of optimize my health and just try and feel better, because I also knew that would have a massive impact on my Rubik's Cube solving. Like, the healthier you are, the better you feel, the more that will impact your, my cognitive domains. So yeah, it kind of came about that way. And before the 2022 most solved in 24 hours world record, I decided to not drink for 50 days and then start running a lot more, because I knew that would help with my ability to react to the fatigue that would occur during that attempt. And I just loved it. So I really enjoyed it. And then I kind of was like just very recreationally running after that. So just running here and there, going on probably like 2 runs a week now and then. Like, I just really liked it. And then I just really got into it suddenly towards the start, or like the middle of 2023, like June 2023. And I was like, I'm going to sign up for a marathon. So I signed up for the Lucerne Marathon in Switzerland and just got on a training plan. And just then I got absolutely obsessed. So 6 days a week running. And then really, really got into it. And now I ran a 3:15 at my first marathon, which was okay. I mean, it like definitely could have been slightly better. I didn't really still know anything about like nutrition really, or like, actually focusing on like, on not hitting the wall, which I did. So like I really struggled, like from kilometer 30, I walked for like 5K. So I was hoping for sub 3, but still happy with 3:15. But yeah, like after that, I absolutely got the bug, and I was like, let's go straight into another training block. And then I wanted to do this record. I wanted to combine keeping with running, and went from there. And so I actually trained for a sub 2:50 marathon, and I like to think that I would have been able to do something like that if I were to go all out at the London one. But I did this record instead, and I'm obviously very happy that I did that instead. And now I can just go into another training block and hopefully get something faster.
Oh, you really have got the bug. The way that you're talking, like, we'll just go straight into another training block. No rest. Let's get it.
Well, yeah, obviously a bit of rest recovery, but like, I want to.
Couple of days.
Yeah.
You said about the 10 kilos. Was there any training involved with that? Were you using a weighted vest, or were you
good question.
Anything like that?
Not enough. Like, so we had to think about the logistics. So like in terms of like how I'd be able to hold these cubes while running. So we started off with like shoulder bags, but quite painful, and also there'd like be a chance of them ripping and stuff. So I ended up with 2 backpacks on my front for the whole thing, like one for scrambled cubes, one for solved cubes. So I'd like take them out of the scrambled bag, solve them, put them in the solved bag. And like I did a 3K max with the scrambled cubes on me. So I didn't know how it would go. I just really was hanging on to the fact that I'd trained for something like a decent amount faster than what I had to do, and was like, I should have some kind of like cardiovascular reserve kind of thing, like to allow for any issues there. But yeah, to be honest, I definitely should have put in more work to see what the weight would be like. But I felt fine. I think the soreness was probably worse after the marathon because of the weight, but apart from that, it's all good. And I'm also quite light anyway. I'm quite like a lean guy, like naturally now, I think. So that probably helps. Like it still wasn't much weight anyway with the 10 kilos added, you know. I'm pretty skinny.
If you're listening to this and you haven't seen the videos of George, I would implore you to go over to his Instagram and just have a look at some of the videos, because like it is mad to see these two rucksacks on the front of your body running the London Marathon, you solving the cubes and then kind of like putting them into this other bag.
Yeah.
How did the running, because you mentioned you trained for a 250, did the running, was that just something that was kind of automatic, if that makes sense? You knew in your body that you could do that and you were focusing on the cubing more, or was it kind of a split? How did it work?
I think you're right. I think I was definitely focusing on the cubing more. To me, the running was I wasn't focusing on too much. I knew just my leg could move and do it. And yeah, I was barely even checking my watch really. I know what like the sort of 5:30 pace feels like, which is what I was trying to do, just to, you know, do it. And yeah, felt great. And actually, I didn't mention, but I missed a checkpoint to pick up 50 cubes.
Oh god.
So that happened, but then that was actually really good because I just kind of ran like I ran like a lot faster for a bit, and it just meant I could make up loads and loads of time. Because there were a lot of issues, like people not being able to find me or me not finding them with the cubes. So there was a lot of stopping and starting. So yeah, it was quite nice actually for a little bit to kind of run at the pace for like a sub 250 marathon, like for a bit, you know, because I wasn't able to solve at the time because they were all sold. But yeah.
What was it like out on course? Because, you know, thousands of people surrounding you, you see some mad stuff at the London Marathon, but
yeah,
normally it's some bloke carrying a fridge or somebody dressed as a giraffe, not somebody solving Rubik's cubes en route.
Yeah, the amount of times I heard the word Rubik's cube during that attempt was ridiculous. Like, like whether it's people watching, like spectators, just going like, "He's solving Rubik's cubes," or it was just someone next to me like, "Mate, you solving Rubik's cubes?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah." I know, I'm mental. But yeah, it was really nice. I mean, like, I think, you know, anyone who's listening, I'm sure they probably will know this, but like the atmosphere at the London Marathon, there's absolutely nothing like it. So it's just an incredible place to be, and like everyone that's running beside you, they just want to support you and you want to support them. So like, you know, you're all doing the same thing, you're running the same race, you know how it feels, you know what it feels like to train. Like, and there's something about like that shared application that everyone else is like, you know, everyone else has. And so everyone was just super supportive. They were like, "Wow, like that's crazy. Do you need any help with like carrying keys or anything?" Like, "No, it's all good, thank you though." Well, actually, there were a lot of things I couldn't do because otherwise it might get disqualified by Guinness World Record. So like, I couldn't, like, for example, have any physical contact with the scrambled cubes before I immediately started solving them. So I had to let the people that were at the checkpoint just put all the cubes into the scrambled bag without me touching, or like without me helping. A lot of weird things which look like I'm being like a bit of a diva, like not helping, but like I wasn't trying to. But yeah, no, it was amazing. Out on the course was incredible, and yeah, and I didn't mention this. I got to give out loads of cubes to kids, and adults, but I mainly gave them to kids. Really, I feel like that natural like intrigue from the cube comes at a young age, and yeah, I was giving them out now and then. It helped alleviate weight, so I was more than happy to. I asked Rubik's before, like, can I give some cubes out? Maybe it might actually help, you know, in the latter stages with the weight, and they were like, yeah, absolutely, give some cubes out. So yeah, that was a really nice touch actually. And there's a video there if you're interested, like on my Instagram of that. And yeah, it's really sweet.
It's just people shouting at you, going, "Can I have a cube? Can I have a cube?" You're like trying to get them out quick enough, being like, "Yeah, here's a cube." Yeah.
Like, I'll solve it now, just quickly. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's good.
So was the whole thing filmed? How did that work?
Yeah, on a GoPro. Yeah. Had to film the whole thing. So that was plugged into a portable charger that was like in my bag. And yeah, it was tough, like to like, I mean, like I for this kind of record, like I did have technically on-day adjudication because Guinness were there before and after, but it's only if you're like wearing a costume or something that they can then give you that certificate right there and then saying you've done it. Because obviously I could tell them I've done 520 cubes, but they don't know that until they see the footage. So yeah, they have to review the footage and stuff afterwards. And it was the same with my 24-hour world record attempt. Like I'd been up for like 27 hours, and they were like, yeah, one set we need to review it, like to actually approve the record for you, and it's like it's so nerve-wracking that time. But normally you do know that you've got it at that point. But yeah, it's still scary. You want to see the certificate. You want to make it feel real.
What was that like when it got ratified, when they'd watched all the footage and you kind of got the nod, like, yeah, George, you got this one?
Oh, great! It was incredibly fulfilling. You know what? It wasn't as fulfilling as potentially the 24-hour one or something, just because this wasn't just about like a self-centered attempt at a record. I like to think it was more about, so it was to mark 50 years anniversary of the Cube. The Cube was invented exactly 50 years ago this year. So I wanted to do something to mark that, and like I wanted to publicize that. And this record got picked up by some PR companies, and it was already quite a few papers before I'd even attempted it. So I was like happy that the Cube had got the recognition it deserved already. So I was like, and then knowing that I'd actually beaten the record, even if it wasn't going to get approved, I was like, I'm happy here. Like I know I've done what I've needed to do. This is it. So it was actually like, it was very nice to have the certificate presented to me, and it was great. And I got to go to like the Guinness World Record headquarters and everything for it. But at the same time, it was really nice. And like I was also raising money for charity in the process as well, for St. John Ambulance. And like I just really, yeah, like it was a slightly different scenario to the previous records. So the approval was a different process. But yeah, I was still really happy.
It's really cool actually to hear you've said a couple of things in this conversation now that I've picked up on, which are like almost like you're a vehicle for the promotion of Rubik's and like for what it can bring you. You said like, I asked them, could I hand them out to some kids? And then you said like, I've already done my job, like because people have picked up on this and is promoting that. Like is that because what it's brought you? You're kind of thinking to yourself like, this could bring other people the same sort of thing here.
100%, and that's really it. You've summarized it perfectly. Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to do a TED talk actually in November last year, and like that's kind of really what I encapsulated in it, is this idea that you need to really give people the security to pursue these niche passions, because you never know where they'll take you. You know, people didn't think I was that cool for solving cubes at school. Like, you know, I pretty much hit it the whole time, and I regret that really. But like, I think it's really interesting, like how where this thing can take you, and I really want people to specifically get into cubing as well, just because the community is amazing. Like it's so wholesome, so supportive. You know, and I think it's similar to like I was saying how when you're on the marathon course, you're like everyone there, they've done the same thing to get there. You know, and it's the same thing when you're at a cubing competition. And they happen every week, you know, it's just a big thing. Like it's really cool. They're happening like every country every week. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. And yeah, I want hopefully someone to maybe see this and think, maybe I should pick up that Rubik's Cube that's like unsolved in the corner room and has been for the last 5 years, you know. Yeah, like that to me is the most fulfilling part. Like I had this BBC news interview that I did after the 24-hour one, and it was put that like amazing. Like thank you to them. Like they put it on YouTube afterwards, and then it actually gained like a couple million views. And like there are people on there that actually they like said that video got them into cubing, and like that to me, like that is the best thing I've ever done. Like that's it. I mean, people have literally seen that video and thought, I'm gonna now start solving Rubik's cubes, and like that's just so cool to me. So yeah, like that's my mission, I guess. Like as Rubik's ambassador, is to get people into this. But equally, it doesn't have to be cubing. It could be whatever you want it to be. It could be running.
I love the idea of, you know, people just pursuing whatever the passion is. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not necessarily saying, you know, you have to get into cubing, because if you don't want to get into cubing, don't get into cubing. If you don't want to get into running, don't get into running. But find that thing. Yeah,
I mean, like I guess it's just like there are these people that you like. You feel like you know, even though you haven't even met them yet, and then like you finally meet. I got to go to the World Championships in South Korea in August, and like all these people, like I knew them, like I hadn't even met them before, but like I knew them really well, and like you just get on instantly because you have that shared interest. It's just amazing, and yeah, I think you know that carries on to every other hobby.
How do you set goals for yourself? Because you're a young man, like you're kind of at the tip of a spear in quite a niche environment. You've done some world records. Like, how do you look forward to the future, or do you just take it day by day? Are you just pretty chill about that sort of thing?
Yeah, I don't want to like be too philosophical, but I do try to like take it day by day, like
Yeah.
minute by minute, pretty much. Like I think that's kind of the best way to approach things, and like as vital as it is, and like that's not saying I don't have a very strict routine in place daily. Like I'm such a man of routine. That's probably why I'm so obsessed with running, because like I feel weird if I haven't done that run, you know. So there's definitely a sense of routine there, but also I try not to focus too much on like what the future holds, because it's just kind of you decide it in what you do now, you know. So yeah, I also like there's this sense, you know, I'm 22, so yeah, I'm like I don't know what the future holds, and like to be honest, I don't know how far the cube will necessarily take me, but even if I'm not someone who's cube my whole life, which I doubt I will be, like it's just about the skills that the cube has taught me, you know. Like somehow now I have this like public speaking ability, which I never would have had if I didn't like solve the cube and then was asked to do a TED talk, and now I do presentations at schools and stuff. Like, so it's not just about the cube, it's just about like what it's led to as well. So yeah, like I'm really interested to see, and I mean I've already seen it carry on to other stuff like running. Like I've absolutely just got that obsession, and it's just about that diligence, isn't it? Like, and willing to do that thing over and over, especially on the days when it like sucks, you know, like those runs where like I'm like not feeling it, and you know you normally get into a rhythm. Sometimes it's like 3K in, sometimes it's like 7K in. You're like, oh, you finally get into a rhythm during that long run, or even just like an easy recovery run or something. But like you just when the ones where you just never get that rhythm, like they do suck. But at the same time, I'm like this is where the progress is being made. Like this is it. Like this is when people are like, oh, I can't be bothered, and they go back in, or maybe they don't go out in the first place. But like once you're there and you're doing it, and you're like thinking, well, like, you know, I'm putting the work in, at least that's where the progress lies, and also in strength training.
Take your life cube by cube, mate. I feel like
exactly.
That could be a t-shirt, some merch life here. Let's quickly chat about running then, because obviously there is that huge passion there. I know we've talked about it in kind of respects to the record.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see your goals in running? You've mentioned sub 250. Is there a race that you've got penciled in? What does the rest of this year look like for you in terms of on the road?
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed. I before my Lucerne one, I didn't do any races, not even like park runs and stuff. So, and I think that's actually a really vital thing to do before a big race, like because you want to get that feeling, and you want to like know what it's like to sort of like build up and have that maybe less like high quality sleep the night before, and then like deal with the morning, like, you know, and deal with nutrition and stuff and nerves. So yeah, I definitely want to do some more races, just generally like 10Ks, halves, like building up to my next marathon. I'm going to do a Norton marathon. I don't know which one yet. Probably won't be in the UK. I want it to be a flat one as well, because I do want to definitely PB it. But yeah, I like, you know, I'm tentatively thinking like sub 240 could be something, you know, I could potentially do, but we'll have to see. I'm just taking it, you know, run by run, cube by cube.
Cube by cube.
But yeah, like I'm definitely also going to focus on some more kind of cross training and stuff, I think, in this block. You know, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of sort of time to do these things and to stay active. And I think it's really important because it supplements my staying indoors, solving for hours on end, to like in a really healthy way. In fact, I've actually noticed like those like long run days, you know, when like you feel, you know, like on a Sunday afternoon when you feel like exhausted, like that's actually when I like solve my best and stuff. And I wonder what that is. Like, I don't know why that is. It's really interesting. Could just be like being outdoors. It could be like blood flow to the brain. I don't know what it could be, but it's really interesting to me. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm just gonna just keep running and see how it goes. But in terms of like further like long-term goals, I think I like to think I'm young enough to just keep going at it until I see where I am. Like I don't think I'm qualifying for the Olympics, but like I definitely want to see how far I can go with running, because I have that obsession. So
yeah, man. I mean, if you're looking at a sub 240 marathon at 22, like sky's the limit. Genuinely, like you've and kind of like coming to running a little bit later on in life as well. There's so much that you're going to learn over the coming years.
I knew barely anything my first marathon. It was like, it's really refreshing to look back and be like, wow, God, I know so much now. Like so much more than I did then, you know.
I think as well, like you say, when you when you put yourself forward and say, right, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to do this race, like it's quite a vulnerable position to be putting yourself in. So it's quite nice to kind of just be, you've got this thing about you, man. You're just chill, aren't you? You're just chill. You're just like, oh, yeah, I think I'll do this. I think I'll do that. And then we'll see where the cubes fall, if you will. I do think there is definitely a niche though, mate. If you want to take all of the running cubing records, I think you can hold them forever, couldn't you?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure there are like 5K, 10K world records too. But you know what? Like after my 24-hour one, I was like, I need to do another endurance one, and I also have run a marathon, so I might as well do another doing this. But like you're right. I mean, like there's actually a really cool record. It's held by a UK guy called the Cube Mile. So you do it on a track. And it's sort of like the beer mile it's like the same kind of aspect, like the same, you do this in the same way. There's no alcohol involved, I can assure you. You run 400 meters, then you solve a cube, 400 meters, solve a cube, 400 meters, solve a cube, 400 meters, solve a cube. So it's a mile, 4 cubes solved. And I think the world record for that is 5:22. It's pretty fast.
Oh, that is nippy.
Yeah, pretty nippy. But I think I might give that a go. Because that could be cool. I don't know if it's like officially recognized by Guinness though, but I'll be interested to see what I could get on that.
Yeah, I think you've got that. Man. We'll finish with this because I think it's a really nice question to ask you to finish with. But there might be people listening to this that are thinking about running. There might be people listening to this that are thinking about picking up that Rubik's Cube in the corner of the room, like you said, that's been sitting there for 5 years. Like, what would you say to those people? How would you say take that first step? Would you say just give it a go? Like, what would be your advice to people that are thinking maybe I should?
Yeah, I think the only thing that's doing the thing is to do the thing. You know, you need to pick it up and give it a go. And like, you know, if you're not passionate enough, you won't have that application and diligence. So you need to have the passion for it. So, you know, find your niche. Everyone has their element. There's a really good book by Sir Ken Robinson. He also did like the most watched TED Talk of all time. You should definitely watch it. It's really cool. But he talks about everyone having their own element, and you just need to find it. Like, I was lucky enough to find my element, I guess. I found it super early on when I was 13, and you know, cubing has just brought me so much. But you know, even if you just want to solve a cube, like, and not pursue it, you know, to the highest heights, just pick it up, learn to solve. It's not that hard. And same with running. I mean, running to me is like one of the most, like the feedback you get instantly from your body that like this is a good thing for you, like is amazing. So yeah, like definitely running too, whatever it may be, do the thing. Pick it up, do it.
I'm looking forward to now which running company is going to be the first running company. They're all looking for this new niche when it comes to super shoes. I want a super shoe and cubing bundle. That's what I want.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, you'd be amazed by the price of like top end speed cubes as well. It's literally like the same as like super shoes.
Is it really?
Yeah. It's mental.
What, you getting your carbon cubes?
Yeah, no carbon plates in these, but they're all magnetized. Like every turn has like a distinct click. Like when I don't know, it's like I don't know how to describe it. It's interesting. It's really cool.
Can you solve the cube for us now then, mate, to finish off? If you're watching the video version of this. This is the best way to finish. We have to finish like this. If you're listening, you're just going to have to listen to the sounds.
I need to hold it up a bit as well. Let's see.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. That's class. You're a legend, mate.